Welcome back, esports fans, to our second game of the day here. It's Top going up against the Unicorns of Love. Now let me go ahead and set the stage with the stakes. If Top Esports win this game, the group is locked in terms of the two moving on and the two going home. Yes, there will still be potential for DRX to maybe steal that first spot away from Top, but unless Unicorns win here, they and FlyQuest will both see the end of their world's run in this group.
Yeah, UOL, obviously, both FlyQuest and DRX will be cheering for them to pull off a major upset here against Top. Would give FlyQuest some small hope to get out of this group, but also, any upset against Top is going to help DRX in their chances of getting out in first place.
Right. Which, as we've seen from the other groups, could actually mean a lot. None of the teams that have progressed so far look bad, but the first seeds look particularly frightening.
Yeah.
So to be able to avoid a quarterfinals matchup against one of those teams could be a big boon for you. So definitely everybody's still invested in looking for that first seed. But hey, we're into the draft, so let's see what's banned away here, as that is a pretty rare ban. These days, Jax banned away first and foremost by the Unicorns of Love. They're saying 369. You're not getting that one. Not today, my friend. Gragas and Renekton also banned out here as Swain, Nidalee, and what's our third one? What's the Magic Champion portrait? It's going to show up on my screen. What do Top Esports want to keep away from the Unicorns here in this draft? It is Camille.
Okay. Makes quite a bit of sense. They are obviously targeting Gadget, I think, with this Swain, he has brought that out. He is one of really the only bot laner at Worlds thus far to be playing mages, so that is something that he can try to look to surprise people with. He has brought out the Karthus, he has brought out the Swain, so he has some flexibility there. I think Jax makes a lot of sense because Top, in my opinion, are the best team in the world at actually playing around that top lane, and we have seen Jax really crush some of those meta picks. The Jax ban, is often used to actually protect the Camille, and I think that's why Top responded with their Camille ban, to try to take away that option. But Jax can also be difficult for things like Mordekaiser, so does make sense as kind of a multi-purpose one against 369.
First pick in the draft is Lucian. Makes a lot of sense with how strong the champion is, how often he's banned these days. Unicorns of Love taking advantage of the opportunity to go for that. But the response from Top is locking in the Syndra and the Ashe.
Nomanz has played that mid lane Lucian. Gadget, at least regionally, did not play the Lucian at all, so we are expecting it to be mid lane. Yes, theoretically, Lucian can go top, can go bot, but in competitive play, it's been almost exclusively a mid laner, so the Syndra would be the assumed matchup there. And AHaHaCiK going towards Lillia helps to enable having that AD laner, so I think that makes a lot of sense. Generally, Lillia as well as Eve, those are kind of those two big AP options, with Gragas and Nidalee already taken off the table. We haven't been seeing anything like Evelynn in quite a long, or rather like Elise in a long time, so grabbing probably the highest priority AP jungler left up.
Man, I forgot Elise was a champion. I'm not
no one plays it at all anymore, man. It's just been gone.
Long time since I've seen the Spider. Feels badman, but looks like the pick to go along with the Lillia in this second rotation for UOL will be Nautilus, so providing plenty of CC and engage potential here for this team.
Yeah, one of Santis's most played, that alongside Thresh are kind of his two primary champions that he likes to go towards for the engage. So it will give you that point-and-click lockdown, always something that is considered pretty powerful, especially against champions that do not have dashes, such as the Syndra, such as the Ashe, trying to help set up, lock down these champions so that they can be taken out quickly. But we have Graves as the answer to the Lillia. Graves has just been so common. Karsa, he is one of the junglers that I think is absolutely elite in the world, but he generally does play a different style, at least in the LPL. He was much more of a facilitator, and that is something that people have been talking about with TES, is the fact that World seems like lanes playing for junglers, whereas in the LPL, Karsa was definitely sacrificing for his lanes. He was the guy who would skip camps to gank more often, to pressure, to be able to help them reset the waves, and to always facilitate his laners rather than the other way around. We'll see if Top want to flip the script here and utilize this Graves as their main carry, try to play more from him and help him out with that counter jungling. But more bot laners kind of banned out. Yes, the Karthus, yes, the Orianna you traditionally would think would be going, mid lane or jungle. But Gadget is the guy playing a lot of these AP GP bottom laners. So I do believe he is the one being targeted here.
And when you mention top being a team that's adept at playing through top, when you have a jungler like Graves, who's very powerful in 2v2 skirmishes, who can take neutral control easily because of his 1v1 dueling potential, that just means that if you do want to play through topside again, if you just want to open things up for 369, man, Graves is just a wonderful champion to have there on the flank, ready to have his back. Pantheon, Karthus, Orianna, Ornn all band away. Fully expect to see top esports leave that top lane open.
Okay, that's actually a flex.
Yeah, the Lulu could go either into the support or top lane roles here.
Yeah.
So I like the choice.
Just makes it even harder, right? If you try to go towards something like a GP, then maybe you're laning up against a Lulu and you get smacked by that. Of course, this could just be going down to bottom lane for yuyanjia, play it as a standard support. But 369, one of the reasons that top is so proficient at playing through that lane is his willingness to actually pick some of these hard lane counters to go towards things like the Kayle, like the Fiora, the Quinn, you know, the Urgot. He's willing to go to these picks, the Jax, of course, and really look to destroy his opponents in that 1v1, pick heavily for it. Now this was pretty interesting. So we do have that Wunkong going up towards that top lane. It could be bot lane Nico looking for some of that CC for Gadget, but I do think that, you know, Ziggs also kind of fits the bill, especially alongside solo laners that are AD damage, which we are assuming this is going to be Wunkong top.
Yeah.
So the Ziggs going to be the pick here.
Okay.
Can be quite proficient, and it does allow you to assist with the dive. So that's one of the things that works well about this, right? You have the point-and-click Nautilus ultimate, Wunkong flying in over top, and presumably you then have the Ziggs ultimate dropped on the head of the Ashe, of the Syndra, trying to look for that. The answer here going to be Sion, so one of the less common picks, but it is something that can actually scrap quite well against the Wunkong, you know, especially in the early levels. If you're going towards Grasp, you have a lot of AoE, you have the ability to push in a really long extended trade. Wunkong can get a lot of value out of the passive, stack up the Conqueror and start to win out, but it can be pretty difficult for Wunkong, and you know, even with trying to dodge with the clones and going to a Viz, you can still be hit by the AoE of both the W as well as the slow from your E. You can get hit by the knock-up because you reveal them when you pop your W. So there are a lot of ways for Sion to fight back. And there's not really a lot of like frontline killing, right? You know, so it can be difficult to actually just deal with one of these super tanks, such as the Sion, who's also going to be shielded up by the Lulu, which is effectively just giving you additional health, right? You know, every time you're getting shielded, all those resistances become more valuable because you're having to punch through that again and again.
And let's not forget his unstoppable engage potential. When you're up against something like a Ziggs that has very powerful zone control with his minefield and with his satchel charge, when you'd have to deal with a Nautilus normally providing so much peel, well, what does that matter if Sion is a freight train and can just find his way on to whichever target he can glide his aiming towards? I think this champion could pose a serious threat if not dealt with appropriately, and we've seen other teams try to deal with 369 before, and it's not gone so well.
It's really, really tough to actually pin down this guy and punish him really in lane or out of lane, because he is such a proficient player at so many different champions, at so many different styles. He can win through hard split push, he can shove and group, he can be the hard engage, he can play weak side. He really can do it all. And you know, with this draft, sure, we could still see Karsa playing towards that top side, but this does feel like more of that standard lanes playing through your jungler style that we've been seeing a lot of at Worlds. You have a strong 2v2 here with the Syndra plus the Graves. They could look to try to push in on Nomanz and grab away things like those Raptors from an AHaHaCiK, who also wants to be heavily prioritizing the farm on that. And you can even see Karsa dropped his ward at level 1 at the Raptors, but it is potentially an invade here from UOL. They are going to make the call to back off for now, though.
And one thing I do want to point out here, as the keystones were up on your screen for just a moment, Knight is running Electrocute on the Syndra. This is another one of those champions. I mentioned it for Azir last game, how sometimes you can see the keystones flexed around more often than not. Sometimes you'll see the Syndras take a phase rush, go for a more utility-based keystone, but Knight just wants to make sure that he's getting every possible little bit of damage he can squeeze out of this build. Nomanz going to drop a ward almost exactly on top of the one that we saw dropped by Top Esports there at that Raptor pit, so they'll be able to keep an eye on that one. And once again, just a reminder, if Top Esports win this game, Top Esports and DRX will be 100% confirmed to be the 2 teams moving forward from this group and will be the final 2 teams to take a place in the knockout stage. If UOL win this game, there is still a very small but still real chance that UOL or FlyQuest could move forward instead. But in this bottom lane 2v2, Santos is already just committing a pretty grievous error of stepping too far forward, getting punished, forced to flash at level 1.
Yeah, I mean, he used his sweeper. They didn't even kill the ward, and he lost most of his health and had to flash. So now he's on no potions already. That is brutal, because the way that Nautilus usually has pressure in lanes is the threat of the hard engage, right? And if you don't have the flash, if you are chunked out in lane, you lose all that threat, and then all of a sudden you have no presence in lane, right? And we can actually see something I was going to talk about, you know, was that yuyanjia actually went towards a Spell Thief. So he is not the more defensive option, he is the more aggressive option, which also makes you more squishy. You know, therein could potentially be engaged on, but given the situation now, it is going to be very tough for Santos to do that, and they can look to take an aggressive posture, push up, and constantly proc that Spell Thieves.
And if Unicorns of Love ever does get to push out and Nautilus is there without his flash, he then becomes vulnerable to a gank opportunity from Karsa if he gets himself into that bottom lane. Remember, when Dredgeline's the only escape, all you got to do is block off the escape path, and the gank becomes a sure thing. AHaHaCiK farming up here. However, he does have his mid laner with priority to make sure that top side of the river stays safe. He won't have to deal with Karsa at all. Karsa is all the way across the map there, taking that scuttle on the bottom side river. So split map state right now.
And one of the reasons that we don't see more mages in the bottom lane is a lot of the top dual laners feel that you can really tax mana as a resource and punish them by forcing out spells constantly and then really kind of wearing them down and making it harder and harder to farm, right? Giving them bad base timings where they don't have a lost chapter and things to actually keep high on mana. And so you're going to see with this double range bot lane, anytime Gadget tries to farm with an auto attack, both yuyanjia and JackeyLove will be trying to auto attack him. Because the only way that Santos can really contribute then is by committing to an all-in, right? You know, hooking in or moving forward. And since he doesn't have his flash, it's not really safe to do. And then what happens is you essentially have to try to CS just with your spells, which is going to tax the mana, which is going to put you down in the position where eventually you're either pushing the wave accidentally with your AoE and having it kind of semi-frozen on you, or you just run out of mana and you can't really effectively CS.
Yeah, and out of mana early game mage is essentially just a caster minion. So nobody's going to be afraid of a 0 mana level 3 Ziggs here. So Gadget is hanging back. Karsa is on the top side of the map. 369 and Boss just trading back and forth a little bit here. Is a farm advantage for 369, but when you look at the amount of minions currently pushing into the turret, Boss will be able to equalize that provided he farms this up correctly. I don't think he'll have any issue with it. It's not like 369 is going to stick around and try to harass him off that wave. He will use this opportunity to go back to base, get himself a good back timer, pick up the bombing Cinder. And Nomanz ends up losing some HP here in the mid lane against Knight. This Lucian with an early null magic mantle and a longsword means he's really paying a lot of respect towards Knight's Syndra and that electrocute maximum damage build. An early Hex Drinker means he wants to avoid that all-in.
It definitely smells like a Hex Drinker. Could theoretically just be, you know, a casual little bit of magic resist and go towards something like a Blade of the Rune King. You know, I wouldn't mind that either, especially because it's only 1 AP threat, right? Lulu, we're not even going to count. It's going to be support items. That magic damage doesn't really matter that much, so it really is just Knight who is threatening you in that way. And if you do rush towards, you know, Hex Drinker, Merc Treads, this kind of defensive style of build, you're not going to have any threat on people like the Sion.
Well, Sion finding himself getting spun around on by the Wunkong. And with AHaHaCiK nearby, 369 did see the need to flash over the wall. That's one of those tricky walls that sometimes we see people have bad experiences with a flash over. But 369 is well-versed in the way he's a top lane, knows how to get over that one and get himself back to safety. And honestly, considering he got hit by both Wukong ultis,
that's what I was laughing at.
He only lost 20% of his health. Wukong spun around on him and was pretty much just a Beyblade. He spun into the wall, he fell over, and he's like, all right, we'll get him next time.
Yeah, I mean, he forced the shield out, right? And didn't really get much done with the damage. It was nicely played by 369. You know, the flash is respectful because you want to keep your health high. But one of the things that makes Sion so difficult to punish is he almost has 2 TPs, right? Because he has the 1 teleport to come back to lane, but if you bully him out, he can just ult back to lane as well and use that as like a pseudo TP, as a reset to really make it difficult to punish. Because I talked about in the previous game, you know, the way you generally punish top laners, you tax their resources, you get them low, you force out the teleport, then it's the repeat attack. With Sion, you have to do that process again, and you have to do that in a short enough time that the other one hasn't cycled back up already, which is, you know, really, really tough to accomplish, especially in this kind of matchup.
Right, you think about teleport, you think about the amount of time this spell had to be nerfed in terms of cooldown, as Knight ends up eating part of a culling here in mid lane. Nomanz using the ulti to get his opponent down to about half HP, but Karsa is now on the top side. You can see 369 going after the ulti, not quite finding the mark, but Boss could be in a pretty bad spot. First blood's gonna happen off the map. We'll check that one here in a moment. TP's interrupted, and Boss, it's hammer time, baby. 369's on the board.
Their whole bot lane died at the same time as mid lane TP is canceled. Your top laner flashes and dies. If that is not a tragedy, Flowers.
That's exactly the word that was going through my mind. It is a tragedy on Summoner's Rift. 7 minutes into the game. Deaths in bot lane, deaths in top lane, teleport cancel
He might just
in mid
die
lane.
again. Karsa's
Boss
here.
into the top lane, but 369's trying to drag him over into the brush. The shield comes through. Wukong's got the damage to pick up the kill here. 369's chasing after him, but this is kind of like one of those Left 4 Dead zombies. It's just really lame and sort of hobbles after you. He's just sort of shot fodder, won't really do a whole lot there, and falls apart.
Yeah, you know, honestly, I feel like Karsa underestimated his damage. I think Karsa could have actually just stepped forward earlier and made it so Boss couldn't commit to that, right? You start hitting him earlier on in that play and start getting behind the Wukong, and you can maybe trade that kill or dissuade him from committing to it. Instead, they were trying to lay that trap for that turnaround kill, but 369 did end up getting burst down. Now trying to steal this. Could be 50-50.
Karsa goes in. It's secured by AHaHaCiK. Good job there from the Unicorns of Love.
But they didn't grab it.
Get the objective. However, uh-oh, it's on the ground. Okay, Lulu. Lulu is now the guard of the Rift Herald eyeball and must protect it from the Unicorns of Love, who are looking to pull off a heist. You guys are getting a sneak peek of Ocean's 15 or whichever one of those movies they're on by now.
Ocean's 37.
Yes, well, either way, the Oceans failed because the Rift Herald Eye just evaporates in the river. Yeah, it was a terrible film. But anyway, Lulu accomplishes her mission. She's more than happy to waddle on back to bottom lane and just keep on doing her job, because look at the scoreboard, Isaac. 91-65 farm in that bottom lane. Things are going great because of plays like this in our Axe replay.
Yeah, here is the bottom lane. Santis tries to go forward here to turn this around. They just fight straight through him. At the same time, interruption there, then back down to that bot lane. Not only do they die, it's the flashes forced out. They get the summoners and the kill. Top is now winning so heavily across the map. It is CS advantages, you know, heavily in mid and bot. Top lane is holding up, and things are looking really, really rough for UOL. 10 minutes in this game, you're already down 3K, and not that many plates have even fallen. So, you know, if your members die again, if they start to fall behind again, you are going to be in trouble. And they're itemizing towards scaling, right? You know, they're not really getting stronger right now. You have a Hex Drinker and a tier on your Lucian. How does that guy even threaten the Sion in the next 20 minutes? You know, the Gadget, you know, he's building towards a tier. Not that these items are incorrect, but it's just you have no power right now. You're emphasizing your late game scaling, and since you're already very far behind and your opponents are building towards combat stats immediately, you're really even further behind in combat power than the gold lead is telling you.
Karsa in the enemy jungle won't be able to steal anything away, but hey, who needs to steal anything when you can just go for the kills in bottom lane instead? Lillia tries to show up, Swirl Seed fired off right between the goalposts, 3 points, but they aren't worth a thing in League of Legends. Collapse coming through from the Unicorns of Love. Karsa's in danger, gets himself back with a beautiful wild growth coming out from the Lulu, and JackeyLove, he's got himself another one. 2-0-2 here on the Ashe, and Karsa will cash in. These guys are just getting kills all over the place.
It is a slaughter down in the bottom lane here. Karsa was already up 2 levels on an AHaHaCiK before that. JackeyLove now 2-0-3. You know, he is going to be up 40 CS by the time all of this is done. Karsa's taking the Dragon. They're getting turret plates because why not? You own everything. And again, that was Summoners here. You know, the flash off of Nomanz, and he is really on the back foot despite building for this lane.
Yep.
UOL just have nothing going for them in this game already. This is a monumental lead from top, and they are showing why they are one of the tournament favorites here.
Unicorns of Love now down 5,000 gold, 2 Drakes, 5 kills. No turrets have been taken yet in this game. Swirl Seed goes through, but Knight with a good sidestep, always being aware of where he is, making sure to avoid any possible punish coming through from that one. But all right, Isaac, we're pretty much just barely at the end of the first quarter, and we're already thinking about Hail Mary passes for Unicorns of Love. What is the play here for this team?
Ooh,
this seems so dire.
It is. I mean, honestly, in any realistic scenario, the game is already lost. I think the play is, as kind of dire as it sounds, is you have to sit back, you have to depend on wave clear from the Ziggs, hope that you can hold on, and really look for mistakes from top, because in any sort of even scenario, you know, over the next 10, 15 minutes, there's just no way you can win. You know, as I said, they've itemized in towards scaling. They've itemized with double tier. There's no one to threaten the front line whatsoever, you know, of Sion, and you have a Lulu backing you up. So UOL have got to either, you know, find some sort of a miracle pick or make this game go really, 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 really long, where some of that scaling might start to pay off. But it is a long and dangerous road here for UOL to have any shot in this game.
You saw on your screen there, it said JackeyLove had disconnected. Seems like we have some sort of an issue here, and the game is paused. We will provide an update for that as soon as we have information for y'all. Hopefully we can get back into the game ASAP, because, man, things are going great for Top Esports. This team, you mentioned how they're one of the tournament favorites, currently still undefeated in this group. Remember that so far, no group has had a team emerge undefeated yet. Knockouts are full of really good teams so far. The 6 teams are all looking scary. However, each one of them has dropped at least one single game. Top is the last team that has a chance to potentially 6-0 groups.
Yeah, and I mean, it's really rare, honestly. Despite the fact that we've had some dominant teams win Worlds over the years, I believe it's only 3 times that teams have actually come out of groups 6-0. You know, from my recollection, I want to say it was like Longzhu, Samsung, and maybe SKT were the 3 teams over different years to have done it. 2 of those teams, you know, did win Worlds, but Longzhu did not. And, you know, it's really, really tough to actually have that much consistency, that level of dominance over some of the competition here. You know, most people, I think, are going to have their eyes on the Top versus DRX game as the big potential bump in the road for Top. But this is, you know, a very manageable group for them. As far as the groups they could have drawn, UOL as well as FlyQuest, Top was always going to be massive favorites over, given their dominance in the LPL, how good they have looked all year long, not just in summer, but also in spring, where they pushed JDG to 5 games in that finals. And DRX, you know, I think are going to have to step up a level if they really want to be able to take down Top, because they have been really, really incredible.
And the thing that's sort of standing out to me about this game that is unfolding in front of us right now is just how every single lane is outplaying individually. 2v2, it was Unicorns of Love not understanding the matchup and having to lose the flash early on at level 1, and then just being bullied around by Top Esports in that 2v2. Then top side, the kill coming through because Karsa's there at the right time and they make the plays happen after 369 avoids similar aggro from Unicorns of Love. And then even when Nomanz tries to get involved and help out his side lanes, Knight being able to interrupt the TP, everybody from Top Esports, it's not like they're all just coming together and playing this super coherent team fight. So we haven't seen a team fight. It's just everyone on Top Esports outplaying their counterpart.
And we have gotten, we're getting the ready checks right now, so it should be, 1-2 minutes and we'll be back in game. But I agree. I mean, it's been, individual outplays. It's been better play across the board, kind of from top. And mid lane, honestly, Knight has been kind of quietly maintaining a lane kingdom there. Nomanz building for that matchup, rushing towards the Hextrigger, going towards that kind of defensive build to try to survive the Syndra. But Knight was up a good 20 CS, early on really had been creating some incredible advantages for himself. So
yeah,
UOL are going to take something pretty special to be able to make this a competitive game, to be able to claw their way back into it. There are chances for them. They do have that backline dive to try to threaten the Syndra, try to threaten the Ashe. It's going to be through that they have to hope to be able to win these fights, because you cannot fight through the Sion. You cannot fight front to back. You've got to try to somehow find the Syndra, find the Ashe, hopefully isolated away from that Lulu so that the Lulu cannot protect them, and the Nautilus ult, Wunkong ult, Ziggs ult, all piled on top, and hopefully bursting one of those members down to maybe make that a little bit more of an even-keeled fight.
And that Lulu plays such a spoiler to that. It's what we saw in the bottom lane fight, right? It looked like, okay, maybe Karsa was overestimating his position. Maybe he was overestimating how far forward he could play because, Nomanz comes down. They try to collapse. It looks like they've just got the three-man pincer move onto that Graves. And then all of a sudden, nope. Lulu presses all her buttons. Graves gets bigger than hell, and he just stands there and guns everybody down. There's nothing that Unicorns of Love can do about it. And Lulu is just one of those champions that is so frustrating to deal with when you're in a game that you feel significantly far behind early on, because it just completely shuts out all of those comeback mechanisms.
Exactly, because it's one of those things. If the Lulu's behind, it can be so squishy, can be under-leveled. Sometimes you can just kill the Lulu without a second thought and then go on to the rest of the members. But when everyone is fed, if you try to focus the Lulu first, you're leaving the Graves, the Ashe, the Syndra, all the free fire. The Sion starts to create space. And even if you kill off the Lulu, you're probably going to have a lost fight. So UOL definitely going to have a really, really tough time in this game, but they have shown some very strong performances. A most competitive game in group stage for them by far was that one against FlyQuest. It was really, really close, and it was only a heroic performance from Power of Evil that really kept them from winning there. UOL looked great in play-ins. They were always going to be an underdog here on that main stage, but we'll see if they can make any magic happen, as we should be getting back on into this one pretty quickly.
Yeah, we just received an additional update in order to troubleshoot and make sure the issues are fully taken care of. We'll take a couple extra minutes here. So just a little bit more discussion back and forth in terms of how things could go. Maybe the secret's Lillia, Mr. Azael. Maybe we just need to see a big old sleep. Maybe we need to turn these team fights into a slumber party, and that's how the Unicorns of Love can get back into the game. But man, will it be difficult, because it's super easy for these champions. Ashe and Syndra both have a ton of range, right? Ashe has a higher than normal auto attack range. Volleys are also spammable from a great range away. Graves is going to be distanced from them because he's just going to be jumping right up in your face. It will be difficult for the Lillia to put herself in a spot where she can affect the entire enemy team.
I mean, League of Legends is uniquely difficult sometimes to really fight up against these behemoths. When you're going up against a team like Top that is already so good when you are on even terms, right? You're trying to dunk on LeBron James, and every time he scores on you, he grows a foot taller, right? Because now it's not just LeBron, it's LeBron with the gold lead. It's Top getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And that's what makes it so difficult against these elite teams, because if you do not hold up in the early stages, even if you have that brilliant fight later on, the gold cushion that a team can have developed can erase that meaning in the fight.
Yeah, it's like, so you're playing football, but nobody gets any pads from the start, and every time you get a touchdown, you get more armor. So nobody has anything, but as soon as you score your first points, hey, congratulations, you guys get a helmet now. Oh, well, now we're playing against guys that have helmets. How are we supposed to deal with that? We run into them, we're knocked on the ground, and they still have helmets. They're fine. It's so difficult to deal with these situations and recover from these avalanches that can happen in terms of not just the gold, but the map state, man. If you lose control of these lanes early on, you lose control of your jungle. You talked about in the draft laners playing to facilitate junglers, and especially in a meta where Graves is popular, where Graves is the defining pick. This champion can be so difficult to deal with in a situation where all his lanes have priority, where he's just allowed to walk through your jungle. He farms so quickly, and if he just has nothing better to do but sit there in a bush with 2 shells locked and loaded, you're going to have a bad time.
I mean, Lillia has great farming speed, but you said it, when your laners start to lose, you lose access to your own jungle, and that's where the gold leads can really start to explode. These top-level teams are so adept at getting deep vision and sweeping constantly and placing pink wards in ideal locations to deny as much vision and information from you as possible. So you always have that worry that if you can't see Karsa, he's in the brush waiting by your raptors. He's in the brush waiting for you to come over to that red buff. And it makes it incredibly difficult to farm efficiently when you're already at a deficit.
Enough talking from us. We're back into the game, and Top Esports, they got JackeyLove back where he needs to be, and where he needs to be is picking up some plates on the bottom lane tier 1 turret. 5K gold lead, 13.5 minutes into the game, 369 farming up.
Play.
Ashe and Lulu just zoning people away, but instead, Nautilus is gone, fishing the wild growth plus the flash. The follow-up comes through. Oh no, yuyanjia's gonna get himself away, and now Top Esports, man. No mercy. Nomanz shows up, the culling goes through. Karsa walks away from this one. More shields from Lulu. I love how Karsa's like, you know what, man, I got 200 HP and he's right there, but these Krugs are looking real good. That shows how much threat Top Esports truly feels like they're under. That looked like it was going so good, and then it went so bad, and now JackeyLove gets away, and Top Esports just makes this look so easy.
Insult to injury, JackeyLove even gets out alive, and Knight, you knew it's only a matter of time with him on his signature champion on the Syndra. He was undefeated on this champion all year long, has had such an impact. Didn't lose once in summer. 7-0 on the pick, and he is on the roam here with Karsa. They come down, land the scatter across multiple members. JackeyLove throws out the arrow. The turn was just expertly done there from Top, and there's a reason why this guy Syndra pretty much gets banned constantly. You have seen how good he is in the lane, and he really does like to play out these games, sometimes from unique angles, and it'll be interesting to see if we get to, a team fight stage where he can kind of showcase that. I did a Lane Kingdom on it where he always is playing these team fights over walls and playing from angles that you don't expect to really look for the maximum amount he can get from those Scatter the Weeks, and fun to watch him play.
Okay, Unicorns of Love. This one should be a kill. Gadget flashing away, making sure Jackie can't get something out of it, and there you go. Unicorns of Love will find their second kill of the game. Update on the turret plates you saw at the top there. No plates for the side of Unicorns of Love. Nobody's going to be setting the table, but 10 plates for the side of Top Esports. They might as well just be throwing a dinner fiesta festival. I don't know. I was trying to come up with something.
A dinner fiesta festival.
I didn't want to say dinner party because
it's
I was like, oh,
Thanksgiving
that sounds
at
too
Top's
basic.
house.
Yes, it is Thanksgiving at Top's house, and everybody is invited because they got all the plates. That's what I was trying to say. But anyway, it doesn't matter. Plate jokes aside, the team is still smashing this game. The next Drake is spawning here in 50 seconds. And last game, you mentioned how, man, an Ocean Soul can really just lock the game away and make your tank unkillable. Well, Ocean Soul's on the board this game, and if Top are able to secure this next Drake on spawn, that means they could have an Ocean Soul at 22 minutes.
It's pretty frightening to think about because 369 is going to be incredibly tough to take down. He already has the Sunfire plus the Adaptive to be able to deal with both sides of the damage coming out here from UOL. So if he gets that Ocean Soul, you have no chance of bursting this champion down, and you just get so much from it. That's why Ocean Soul on tanks is so powerful. If it's like a Zed or a Yasuo walking around, you always kind of have that thought in the back of your mind, well, maybe you can one-shot him. Maybe you can take him down before he gets a lot of value out of that Ocean Soul. With Sion, there's no chance of that, and that's why tanks are such a pain to deal with. And it's going to be mid lane tower going down. Drop it right as the dragon spawns. You want to respond to that to try to stop it from charging your tier 2, but it means you now have lost position in and around this dragon pit. But UOL, they've decided we're going to fight for it.
There they go. Nice initiation down onto the enemy jungler. That could be a big one, but Karsa gets himself away. Counterattack coming out. Boss nearly going down, spinning around in circles. Back to the fountain he goes. AHaHaCiK running away as 369. Oh, he gives him the dabbing penguin, too. Just chasing away the rest of the team. Lillia is stuck back in the jungle. yuyanjia with the ward over the wall. Oh, no. AHaHaCiK, he thought he might have been able to get away. yuyanjia's just going to chase him down. And now here comes Knight. AHaHaCiK's on the run. Scatter the week. Say hi to Bambi's mom for me. See ya later, Lillia. as Top Esports is up 13-2, 7,000 gold lead, Soul point.
They are looking so damn good. Knight even TPing there to deny the execute. He wants the gold.
No reason not to at this point.
I mean, the items are just so one-sided. When you look over, it was actually a great start to the fight from UOL. Getting the engage onto Karsa, 369 wasn't there at the very beginning, and it gave them some hope. Boss now maybe getting chased down.
Boss thought he was gonna get a 1v1 against a Syndra. Remember what I said about if Graves has nothing better to do but sit there in a bush and wait? Well, it turns out Graves had nothing better to do but sit there in a bush and wait. And Karsa ended up having that patience pay off. 5-0-4 on the Graves. Has the serrated Dirk in inventory, working on that lethality. You love to see the itemization come through for that huge burst when you're this far ahead. And not even 20 minutes into the game, we're almost at 10,000 gold separating the teams.
I mean, when you look at the completed items, it's just so one-sided. But this was a great engage, so credit to them for going for it. You have to go for those big plays when you're in this type of position, but Top kiting back well, pulling them into that corridor. 369 arrives on the flank with that max range ultimate, and from there, when you didn't get that initial kill right off the bat, it was pretty much a done deal. They just don't have the items in the inventory to really threaten their opponents in an extended fight. Lucian's itemization is putting him in such a power trough, right? Where you have a little bit of CDR, you got a Hex Drinker, and you're stacking your tier, right? This is nothing. He's gonna need like an IE and an Essence Reaver on top to really have any sort of threat on the Sion, and by that point, Sion's gonna be 4, 5, 6 items. So this is gonna be a really, really tough one. They don't get 20 minutes to scale. You get 3 minutes, because then it's Ocean Soul. And right now, you will have just got to try to get as strong as they possibly can and pray for that miracle engage at this next Ocean Dragon. Otherwise, it's going to be fully lights out.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'll bet you, I don't know, a bunch of money, Isaac, that we don't see an Essence Reaver and an Infinity Edge together in Lucian's inventory by the time this one's over. But JackeyLove saved by Mikhail's Crucible. 369 coming in from the side. Oh my goodness gracious, that damage. 1 versus 4 in the back line. 369, damn, he's fine. Making the moves, starting the fights, and guaranteeing that Top Esports just has not a care in the world. Baron's been alive for 15 seconds, and that's 15 seconds too long. Top Esports, hike it on over to the pit.
20-minute Baron, don't mind if I do. 369 has been crushing into this tournament, rolling nothing but 9s. And Top gonna turn, as we see UOL coming over here. They don't want to risk getting killed at that Baron, but Nomanz, you are in trouble, my friend.
Nomanz tries to get himself away. The flash will do it. Still trying to just get as much distance as he can. There are lots of damage from the Lillia and Ziggs. Nearly able to find the pick onto Karsa, but it will still be Nomanz who gets killed. Gadget with a sidestep, barely evading the Enchanted Crystal Arrow, but now he's on the wrong side of the map. 369 shielded up, walking forward. Gadget throwing everything he's got in his pockets. Man, that poor little Yordle, he's about to get his butt kicked. The projectiles go flying, Gadget goes dying. 369, 3-1-12.
They are just crushing it. Top looking like they will not be stopped this game. 21 minutes in, 3 Dragons to 0, 10,000 gold lead. Ocean Soul in 1 minute here. Nomanz likely will not even finish stacking that tier up. Gadget is trying to itemize effectively, trying to find a way with this double spell pen build and maybe make something happen. But Boss now, here comes 369. He's not even going to wait.
Here comes the Sion train. Wukong, of course, does have a very easy get-out-of-jail-free card against that. Just dropping the clone, making sure that Sion rams his head into that instead of being able to chase Wukong. So Boss gets out, but 1-4-0 Wukong, now down 40 CS. The Sion's next item will be a Warmogs. He's about 1,000 gold away from completing it, and once that's done, he just becomes extremely,
and he can eat all the poke. He can just absorb every Ziggs bouncing bomb. He can step in front of every swirl seed from Lillia. He does not have to care about anything coming out here from UOL. They're gonna try to fight at this Ocean Dragon, you have to expect, because that is their hope to find a pick here. But it is so tough. I mean, the fact that even yuyanjia went towards the Mikhails was very intelligent.
JackeyLove's on the front line against the culling, being protected by the Lulu. Jackie trying to step out of the way, has to flash. Nomanz still falls. Karsa goes godlike. Santos walking away with 300 HP. 369 finds a way to cut off the remaining Unicorns of Love. AHaHaCiK will be chased out. Boss tries to re-engage, but now he's got to once again fall back. 369 going underneath the enemy tier 2 turret, completely unafraid of anything. Now falling back as they do not have everybody nearby because Karsa and JackeyLove are over there grabbing the Ocean Soul. Now Top Esports are truly ready to go. They've got themselves this soul that will prevent any sort of danger that might have been heading their way. AHaHaCiK's trying to grab this Scuttle Crab, but the smite's there in time. Will he be able to get himself away? He does have the passive build up with the flash over the wall. He'll escape, but Top have control over the Baron Pit here once again.
Yeah, and this time there's no contesting it, it feels like. And AHaHaCiK just used his flash, used his smite. They're going to try to come over here and see if they can get anything done.
They have to.
Boss is TPing, so they're hoping for a miracle.
Last stand of the Unicorns of Love, trying to stop Top Esports here. 369 frontlining, JackeyLove firing off the volleys. Yuyanjia continues just providing support there with the shields. Mikhail's, it stops everything. What do you do? Unicorns of Love. Okay, they stopped the Baron, and now Top Esports is going to go back. They're going to shop. They'll get back onto the map, and they'll just keep doing what they've already been doing. A TP's showing up. Unicorns of Love maybe... No, never mind. That's 369. I didn't know who was TPing in there. Never mind. Boss is... he's gone.
He's gone. He was there a second ago, but yeah, 369 TP's in. Even if you have your entire team in a couple minutes, I think I might be taking the Sion with Ocean Soul at this point. So.
I think Sion and Syndra can legitimately just 2v5.
If they couldn't get to the Syndra, probably, but you know, who knows? We'll see. They're going to start this up one more time. No reason not to. You've got the soul, so you just continue regenning constantly, even if you're taking that Baron damage. They're just forcing UOL to come to them, looking for the turn, looking to close this out. And AHaHaCiK is over the wall, but he has no flash.
Can Lillia try to perform a miracle steal? Nope! Karsa's there with the smite. Top Esports have the Baron now, looking to maybe send this one all the way home. Sion going for the ulti. Will manage to get on the other side of the mid laner, and there you go. Wombo combo. Top Esports take down the enemy mid laner. 369. He's just bonking the turret with a hammer, dude. He doesn't care.
Why does this range minion have so much health?
Look at how many turret shots he's getting hit by.
Look at how little he cares about that turret damage.
There's no reason he would ever need to care. This team is so far ahead in this game. Pushing down the mid lane now. Top Esports ready to go, ready to send this one into the history books. 25 minutes in, mid lane tier 3 turret under pressure. Top Esports nearly has that inhibitor turret down. There you go, a couple more auto attacks will do it. Knight staying here in the bottom lane, making sure to keep those minions enchanted. The rest of the team rotating down with him now. Volley to just put a little bit of poke down onto the Unicorns of Love. Second tier 3 turret nearly gone now as well, as JackeyLove will finish off the inhibitor in the mid lane. Top Esports continuing to just take this slow and steady, not needing to rush anything. Unicorns of Love, they don't really have a chance to fight here. Santos managing to buffer away from the CC of the knockup of 369. Top Esports, 5 in the enemy base. Sleep comes out, Karsa loses half his HP, but that's 2 big ultis. Jackie and Karsa both at half health. Boss looking for a chance to maybe jump in. 369 at half HP now too. Enchanted Crystal Arrow comes out, Nomanz forced to flash away. Top Esports walking back, and the Ocean Soul's healing him up, making it look like a fountain. AHaHaCiK tries to jump out, but the Eve will not be enough. There's nothing to watch out for. Knight goes unstoppable, Boss goes down. Into the air goes Nomanz, a double kill for Knight, and Santos will try to walk out, but it will not work until he just barely hobbles away. The Nexus turrets are done, man. 369, he got hit by the laser! It didn't move his health bar. JackeyLove finishes off Santos, and really there is just nothing left to say. Top Esports did exactly what everyone was expecting them to do. They take the win, 25-3.
What a stomp from Top. That was a very, very dominating game. 369 completely unassailable in those later stages of the game. The bot lane was crushing it. Knight showcasing once again why no one wants this man to play Syndra. He is way too damn good at it. Really all 5 of the top members were playing incredibly well. UOL tried to get something going, tried to find their fights, But by the time they were looking for those engages, by the time they were trying to go for those picks, even with a good engage, when you're down 5,000, 10,000 gold, it is way too hard to really find anything in that game.
And with the results of that game, Top Esports and DRX are now guaranteed 100% locked in as the two teams moving on from this group. It is still possible for DRX to take that first spot, but it will be very difficult for them as Top Esports are looking absolutely ferocious so far this tournament.
They are, man. And they came into this incredibly high expectations. They've been living up to it. I would say them alongside Damwon have really been, monstrously strong. JDG, really stepping it up in the final days. A lot of these teams that were expected to be huge favorites in this tournament, are rising to the occasion. And the LPL is certainly frightening this year.
And as that game has now drawn to a close, let's go ahead and take a look at the Mercedes drive to victory for Top Esports. The kills in the bot lane, 11 minutes in.
Yeah, and this was pretty early on here. This was already once they had an enormous advantage. Karsa wrapping around behind him, dropping the grenade. That looked sick. Taking out the Ziggs, not much they could do. And on the continuation of this play, this is where bad goes to worse. The tower gets reset before the hook lands from Santis, so there's not really any threat on Karsa. And then despite the fact that Nomanz and AHaHaCiK have the inside angle here on Karsa, Karsa just kites it back and then goes through the Krugs back towards the Lulu, avoiding a lot of the damage here, getting buffed up. And then night arrives and they know they've got to go into a full retreat. No chance really here for UOL, and it felt like no chance in this game as Top was crushing it across the map.
It was at this moment Unicorns of Love knew they were in an action movie and Graves was the hero, because that was not a situation that you can just walk away from. And as we're about to head to yet another commercial break with our second game of the day finished up, y'all can go ahead and listen to the World's Anthem Takeover on Spotify. Head to the League of Legends official playlist, stream Takeover, and watch the full behind-the-scenes video on the making of that Takeover music video itself. Remember, this is available only on Spotify. And as we go to the break, we'll be coming back to hear from JackeyLove as he and Top just secured quarterfinals.
Hey Mercedes, legends run wild, each one unique, with astonishing power, unstoppable, master warriors, ready to compete. Seeking glory. We live it, we breathe it. We have each other's back. Together, we become legends, icons of a new generation.
No one is promised tomorrow.
Playtime's over. They're mine now. Fear the assassin with no master.
Too fast, life moving in slow-mo. I'm a god, but I actually don't know. Homie, better put your pride aside. I'm a Benz, get more like a Volvo. Your best stuff looks like my words. Synapses, fire, and burst. Got the whole crew with me, about to do damage. You know we ain't average. I ain't gonna say this again, but it's in my time. Better look in my eyes. I'm a genius in the skies with my heart on my sleeve. You force, you will block to a king in his prime. Everybody got a line. Sit back with the stars in line. I finesse like my life on the 9 was a diamond in the rough, and now I shine.
No one could stop us, they'll try, but they won't. Nada nos puede parar. Oh no, we're wide awake now. Our eyes are wide open. We're running this world. We're keeping it turning. We're living like giants. Yeah, giants. We're bigger than giants. We're giants. Oh, sleeping giants. Sleeping giants. Yeah, shutting it down. Been in the ground and my people all up in this place. Spinning this thing, go to my rank. Royalty up in my veins. I'm loco, think I'm so cold. I say something, ain't no going back. Now they ask where Kiki's at. with that 쏟아져 빛이 멀게 된 눈이 멈추지 않아 once we go 날카로운 날로 모든 배워 빨리 달려 넌 못 따라와 True damage we do it True damage 보여줄게 뭐든 쉽게 이기든 지든 My crew make the beat No one could stop us they'll try but they won't Nada nos puede parar Oh no We're wide awake now Our eyes are wide open We're running this world We're keeping it turning We're living like giants Yeah, giants We're bigger than giants We're giants It's not the way we're weak But we coming right back This time you're gonna see How we do it like that We're living like giants Yeah, giants We're bigger than giants We're giants Oh Sleeping giants Sleeping giants
I keep on shattering time. I'ma just leave you behind. Homie, you stuck on rewind. You should quit sleeping on mine. You got your back on recline. When I damage your delicate spine, please don't act out, shy and surprise. They be like, what you mean? What is your winning scheme? I got a giant team. Niggas my self-esteem. Run it back, running man. If they didn't go hard, I'm like, come again. You run at the time when I'm busting in. While you stumbling, I got this blade in my hand for your punishment.
We're wide awake now. Our eyes are wide open. We're running this world. We're keeping it turning. We're living like giants. Yeah, giants. We're bigger than giants. We're giants. It's not the way we're weak, but we coming right back. This time you're gonna see.
And welcome back to the last day of group stage. Laure here, joined by JackeyLove after a dominating performance once again from Top Esports. And JackeyLove, I want to know, what did you think it was necessary to ban UOL pocket picks such as Swain or Karsa, even though you dominated them in the end?
那首先恭喜你们获得本场比赛的胜利，看起来是比较一边倒的局势。但是比较好奇的是，为什么你们会在 BP 环节首先ban掉对面的很多拿手的英雄，比如像斯维因这一类的呢？
因为就是看他们打弱赛阶段，就是有玩过这个英雄嘛，然后看其他队伍也搬了，我们也搬了嘛。
So actually, I've seen that team play those champions from the playing stage, and I thought like other teams just ban out those pocket picks, so we just do the same stuff.
Okay, it's still a threat then, I guess. But talking about Top Esports, you are now locked for quarterfinals. Seeding is still to be decided, but I mean, you've been so dominating here. Do you feel like you've got enough challenge to advance to quarters now?
那你们现在其实也是非常的具有统治力嘛，在你的小组当中，那你们觉得你们有没有经历过足够多的一些竞争，然后去面对8强呢？
因为就是我们目前小组来说，就是打到现在，都在赢嘛，然后觉得现在状态也还可以。其实，就我们觉得就是先要打好自己的，就足够了，先。
I think we are on a winning streak and we actually have a quite good form currently. So I think the main focus for us is just to focus on our own games. I think that's enough.
All right. Is there anything you managed to learn through your games nonetheless? It's all right.
那你有没有觉得你们在这一路上你们有学到哪些东西呢？
因为前面就算我们赢下来，但是也算是那种就是失误也有，而且还是比较严重那种，所以我们后面会打得比前面就更加稳健。
So for the previous games, sometimes we made some mistakes, and sometimes those mistakes can be very serious. So we'll do some modifications and try to stabilize ourselves in the upcoming matchups.
And still one important matchup remains at the end of the day. I talked to Doran before this game about the matchup you're going to have against DRX, and he told me only that this is going to be a very one-sided game. What do you think of this statement?
那你们接下来还有一场非常重要的比赛，就是再次面对 Dragon X 嘛 ，DRX。之前他和多兰的 interview 那个采访里面也提到说，他说会是一场一边倒的比赛。那你怎么样去评价 Doran 的这样的一个评论？
其实就是怎么打，其实我觉得都无所谓，反正我们两边 就希望都能打好自己，然后就打得精彩一点。
I think instead of like focusing on the result, I think our main focus is to try to perform like ourselves. I hope it can be a very exciting game.
And we're looking forward to this game, obviously. But JackeyLove, thank you so much for the interview. And Wendy, thanks again for the translation. And we're going to take a break and we'll come back for DRX versus UOL. Stay tuned.
DRX, very scary. Top Esports, very scary. And those are the teams people expect to get out of the group, and so far they have taken care of business and saying neither of you are anywhere on our caliber.